start the meeting here and let me know when we're live.
Will do. Okay, and we are live.
Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining our Board of Regents board meeting Friday, January 21st, 2022. I cannot believe that we're already into the middle of January. It's just crazy. So a quick report from me as the chair of the Board of Regents. One, I wanted to just say thank you to Kirk and Elizabeth and just WSU as a whole for the town hall that they hosted. It was, you know, it's just never easy to do town halls in general, but you did it at a really important time to be answering questions around COVID, and even more importantly, around a crazy time in the state of Washington with the massive amounts of snow we had and the passes being closed. So I appreciate the decision that was made to push the start date of the second semester out a couple of days and just let kids return to the Pullman campus safely. So I appreciate that. It was a prudent thing to do. So thank you. I'm excited because next week I am leaving and headed off to the AGB Leadership Forum on behalf of WSU, and just going, and Kirk will be attending as well, to just learn a little bit more about leadership, foundations, just how to kind of sit in the spot as a chair of a board such as this. So I'm really excited for kind of a new little development opportunity for myself and to learn more about the world of higher ed and boards. So I will be sure to report back to all of you once we meet up again in March. So moving right into the meat of our meeting this morning. This meeting is officially called to order. I would like to remind the audience that the Regents, as well as presenters, are participating in this meeting via Zoom. Members of the public are invited to view it via the YouTube live stream. And there will be a link to this live stream available on WSU's Board of Regents website. I'd also like to remind you that we will have a public comment period during this meeting. The public comment period will be after our regular agenda, and it will be up to 10 minutes. Each speaker is allowed 2 minutes, and I know we are being joined by a few folks that do have public comments. So just as Regents, please be prepared to continue to stay engaged so we can hear our guests that will be talking to us. So at this time, I'm going to go ahead and turn the floor over to President Schultz for his president report.
Great. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for being with us. And I think Kyle or Ginger, if you can go ahead and put my slides up. Well, first, let me thank everybody for, maybe start there. Okay. Let me thank everybody for, I think, a productive meeting yesterday. I enjoyed particularly the morning session where we really had an opportunity to spend some time once again talking about some of our new and ongoing initiatives in diversity, equity, and inclusion. And then, you know, a really robust time that seemed short, talking about marketing and communications and the job Phil and his team are doing. And I look forward to continuing those discussions with the Regents at subsequent meetings. So let's go ahead to, I've only got 5 or 6 slides today. I want to make sure I keep my presentation a little bit brief. We had lots of time to interact yesterday. So next slide. Enrollment continues to be a challenge for a lot of public universities around the country. And WSU in this is no different. You can see here that our enrollment management teams at each of our locations have been working closely with our students over basically the first 2 weeks of class. So these numbers continue to bounce around and vary a little bit. Bottom line, WSU as a system is down about 1,000 students from where we were a year ago. We have large graduating classes. There's lots of reasons for that, but I just want to keep everybody aware. We budgeted appropriately to these numbers, but Our fall 2022 classes are going to be really, really important. And if we look at some early indicators from Saichi Oba and his team, we expect to see a bit of a bounce back in terms of a upwards turn in our enrollment in the fall. Our in-person experiences that we continue to operate under right now are going to be really critical to our success at landing a really robust fall class at all of our campus locations. And we've been had a strong commitment by faculty, staff, and students across all of our locations to stay as much in person as practically possible right now. Next slide. On one WSU update, I think the board's been, I've tried to keep you all pretty updated on where things were. Elizabeth formally started as Chancellor of our Pullman campus on January 1st, 2022. Elizabeth and her team were the ones, Regent Dickinson, that made the choice around delaying the start of the semester for a couple days because of passes, dealing with all the weather-related issues that we had on the Pullman campus and other places throughout the system. So Elizabeth has hit the ground running. We're really pleased to have her as part of our leadership team. And I really think it says a lot in our state that the first inaugural chancellor of the Pullman campus is also a strong female leader. We're really pleased with Elizabeth's leadership and look forward to continuing to work with her as she and her team really try and sit down and say, what is it that is unique about the Pullman campus? How do we improve on those things? And what does the vision for our flagship campus look like? We continue to work with teams in research and student affairs, intercollegiate athletics, and international programs on transitioning those reporting structures by July 1 of this next year. Elizabeth and I are working with those particular teams. We have transition teams in each of those areas that are looking at roles and responsibilities and what makes sense to be system and what makes sense to be localized on the Pullman campus. And I think those conversations are going well. At the end of the day, on all this stuff, you plan as much as you want, you write everything down, you implement, and you always find there's some things that you missed or things like that. And I just think I continue to urge flexibility in our colleagues internally within the university and externally as we are carefully working through this. But at the same time, we acknowledge there's going to be a few places with things that we miss. We're continuing to review policies and procedures. This is not a super exciting thing, but it's something that we need to do to make sure that roles and responsibilities are delineated. And my goal at the end of the day is to make sure for our faculty, staff, and students, this seems seamless, that we are more efficient, that we get them the information that they need in a timely fashion, and that people see things get smoother, not more clunky. And I think we'll continue to work in that direction. Next slide, please. Well, you all heard yesterday of the outstanding work led by Elizabeth and Stacy on a new budget model. And it's easy to kind of look at this point and say, yeah, it's a new budget model. You know, what kind of big deal is that? Really, this is the first comprehensive new budget model that we've probably had at WSU in at least 30 years. What's happened is the budget has been a patchwork quilt of different deals and different ways of budgeting dollars that I think made perfect sense at the time they were implemented. But just as an example and a reminder, in Spokane, where I am today, we have 3 different colleges. All 3 are budgeted completely differently. We have 5 different physical locations. They're all budgeted differently. Now, there's nothing wrong with budgeting differently if it makes particular sense. But if you extrapolate that for so long, we just are in a place where if you say, Kirk, in 15 minutes, explain the university budget and how dollars are allocated, that's not nearly enough time because everything is a difference if it's here, if it's there, if this college. So it's easy to look at that and say, yeah, so what? You know, that's not a big thing. It is a big thing for WSU. And this is really going to be important moving forward for future leaders to be able to come into a system where the budget model makes sense. You can explain it to somebody, you can track the dollars. And as we try and be more accountable and make sure that we're using our state resources, our philanthropic resources, our student tuition dollars efficiently, effectively, and with transparency, this is going to be important. That also means that it's not just Kirk making all the decisions about this stuff. We need to make sure that we have a governance model that makes sense on how we go about budgeting, how we make decisions that's inclusive of our faculty, staff, and students. But at the end of the day, recognize any governance model's got to have somebody who can make a decision and say, okay, this is what we're going to do. And I think we're working carefully on that as well. So again, we've got a committee of faculty, staff, students that have worked with Elizabeth and Stacy putting this together. And I look forward to implementing this, working with our colleagues on the bumps in the road that are inevitable, and making sure that we're doing change management in a really good way. Next slide. Well, we are in the first 6 months of a comprehensive campaign 3 for Washington State University. We have a very aggressive overall tentative goal of what we would like to raise. And we've had the best 6 months, and Mike Connell today can give you some more details. Best 6 months, I think, since 2014, with $72.8 million raised. This is a team effort, and I want to continue to emphasize that. Athletics continues to do a great job with fundraising. Our College of Engineering has been out there raising money aggressively for a new facility, much needed new facility for the Pullman campus. So we've got several units that are leading the way. The nice thing about this number is there's not a single gift here that sort of took us from a decent 6 months to a great 6 months. It was really a series of 7-figure gifts from a wide variety of Cougs around the nation. And we're just going to continue to do this moving forward. And I think we expect to have a really solid year this year. We have a campaign organizing committee established of about 10 of our most significant investors in Washington State University. We've been meeting monthly with that particular group of volunteers about campaign name, goals, what types of things are important to us, how can we hone our messaging around this, and that has gone very well. That campaign organizing committee is nearing the end of its life. We told all the folks that we wanted them to serve for 12 to 18 months. So this wasn't one of those perpetual committees, and all of us have been on those. We just want you for 18 months, and then 3 years later, you're still on it. So we just want to be really careful with our volunteers and their time, but that has gone very well. We didn't have anything quite like this on campaign 2. So what we're doing here is also setting the groundwork and the foundation to really help us be successful. We have a couple building projects that we are spending quite a bit of time fundraising on. Here, this shows a rendition, an artist rendition of our much needed WSU Vancouver Sciences building. We've raised, the state is providing the majority of the funding for this. We have a fundraising goal of around $10 million to make sure that we're building the building that WSU Vancouver needs, not just what we can shoehorn into the state budget. Right now, we've raised just under $1 million for this building so far. Groundbreaking, like the real construction groundbreaking, will start in March. So we still have some time. We're still talking to people. We've got several $1 million worth of proposals outstanding there. And Mel and his team, myself, Mike Connell, others are all focused around this is one of our primary fundraising projects, certainly for the next 18 months. Our new engineering building is going well. We're probably $10 to $11 million raised out of a $40 million fundraising goal. Mary Rezac, our Dean of Engineering, and her team done a fantastic job. We've got another probably $10 to $15 million in proposals that are outstanding that we've talked to people about that we're waiting to hear back on. So we're continuing to move forward with that project as well. And then we're in the very early stages of talking to potential donors and investors around new arts and sciences building for our WSU Pullman campus. And we'll consider a naming request today for the indoor practice facility during the business session. So Intercollegiate Athletics continues to do a great job of raising complete private funds for all new facilities for intercollegiate athletics. No tuition dollars, no state money. They're doing what they need to do, and really pleased that that's moving forward. This is time intensive to do. It means that all of us, myself and others, our other leaders, deans, vice presidents, chancellors are out on the road a lot, visiting with individuals. I would say the receptions have been really, really good. People want to see us. We're doing a lot more small meetings, not a lot of big events. It's just going to require us to be out and about and not sitting in our office waiting for somebody to bring us a check, but going out and aggressively talking about our needs, why they're important, the impact they have on our students. And I think this is going to be really fun. The last thing I'll say about the Vancouver building that I think is really cool is we've got a gift already for this building, and one of the rooms will be named for an Indigenous scientist. So we're looking at not just naming things, but how do we make sure that we take some of the equity work we talked about yesterday and start incorporating that into buildings, new infrastructure, and things that we're doing on all of our campuses. Next slide, please. Well, COVID-19 continues to, be in the news every single day. You can't open any newspaper without this being the headlines where things are. WSU is doing the best that we can with our faculty, staff, and students. We want to keep people safe, but we also understand that the vast majority of our students have high expectations for an in-person experience. We are seeing a spike in COVID cases like every other places around the country. What we're doing is we're monitoring where our healthcare providers are in our different communities, where the hospitals are in our different communities. We continue to distribute masks and do things like that. We will keep the board updated. We continue to have a COVID task force that makes recommendations. And just know that we can think today that we got this thing licked and we've got it figured out. And by next week, that can turn on a dime. So we want to continue to make sure that we're listening as much as possible. And I'd ask the board to remember that no matter what decisions we make as leaders, there's going to be some group that feels that is absolutely the wrong decision. And we just have to use the best data we can, make the best decisions we can, and move forward. So happy to answer any questions that people have about this, but Haley Rupp, Joel Schwarzkopf, their team of COVID folks across the system continue to meet, work with our WSU faculty who are experts in this area to try and make sure that we have the right mitigation strategies in place while keeping in mind that we want to keep that in-person experience going. I will say to date, we've had zero transmission in any classroom and learning environment. And I want to make that really clear. Where we have transmission issues typically is in housing related things or after hours activities, not within the classroom. The classroom environment is still very safe for students, faculty, and staff. Next slide, please. And let me end on a high note. We haven't had a Regents meeting, I think, since the Apple Cup. And it was really exciting to see Coach Dickert and our football team play so well in Seattle and kind of finish off what was certainly a interesting football season by beating the Huskies and qualifying and going to a bowl game. So with that, I appreciate the opportunity to continue to serve as Washington State's president. We are blessed with a really fantastic team of leaders, of dedicated faculty who've been through a lot and continue to put our students first. And I just am deeply appreciation for the attitude that people have taken across all of our locations in the state. It's really made leading through the COVID time as easy as it can be. So with that, happy to respond to questions and looking forward to a great semester. And folks, we finished 2 weeks of in-person experience at all 5 of our campus locations during Omicron, and looking forward to week number 3. Thank you.
Great report. Thank you. What a great picture. Somebody should get the governor a WSU baseball cap, however, so. Okay, any comments, questions for Phil?
I have a question. One of the questions I had was regarding COVID. over here, and I suppose elsewhere in the state, most people are having trouble getting tested. So for students, do they have readily access for testing?
Students do have access for testing through Cougar Health Services on the Pullman campus. It varies a bit, Regent Cerna, from campus location to campus location, but there's still testing shortages, particularly for faculty and staff. And we're working with local healthcare providers to ramp that up. Some people, so we got a variety of stuff like everybody. Some people have to stay at, take them at home type of things. Every time now somebody gets a little bit of a head cold, they'll think it's COVID. So, we're dealing that the best we can. But the bottom line is our students have availability. Now, there have been several postings on social media where a student goes, well, I can't get a test, and they told me I can't get one till February. Every day, Cougar Health Services has available open slots for testing. So what we're doing is we're taking anybody who feels they've struggled. We're doing direct connection with the testing calendar and things like that to really help out as much as possible.
Thank you, Phil. Other questions, comments?
And I'm Kirk, Marty, by the way.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I was wondering about that.
I am a little Zoom fatigued at the moment, so I apologize.
No, that's quite
I
all
was
right.
on it last night till 9 o'clock. So doing the big winter party for SDCU. And I mean, when that, I had to sing, I had to dance, there were several things that had to happen last evening. So I'm a little rummy today, so I apologize, Phil. Kirk.
I got you.
Is there a video of that?
Yes, sadly, there's lots of video. Okay, none that will be at your disposal. Okay, we are moving into the consent agenda. We have 2 items on our consent agenda to review. First of all, approval.
Marty,
Yes?
up next is the Chancellor's report.
Oh God, I'm so sorry. Okay, thank you. Okay, I'm going to get it together here, you guys. So actually, this is one of the highlights of our morning because this is long overdue to be able to have Chancellor Petrie joining us from our WSU Everett campus. Paul, we're so glad that you're here. You are just this wonderful, steady, silent, sometimes engaging leader, but there's a sense around you that is just a sense of calmness, that you kind of have this thing dialed in, and we are so appreciative of what you do up there at Everett. And we recognize, I think all of us recognize, it's not easy to be remote and trying to be separated from the kind of overall Pullman campus, and you're a little ways out there, and yet you do such an amazing job of keeping connectivity. And our Board of Regents is committed, and we are very anxious, and we're going to find a way that we spend some time getting to know your campus better. So that is a commitment on behalf of our Board of Regents. So I'll just turn it over to you, and we're glad to have you today.
All right, thank you so much. I really appreciate that introduction. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. All right, well, good morning. And on behalf of the Everett campus, we're so very proud to be able to present to you on WSU Everett. And what I'll do is give you an update that'll give you a glimpse into some of the things that we're engaged in here in Everett in the North Puget Sound region. I have to be honest, there's a lot of things that are going on, a lot of good things. One thing just out our window here is a construction site. It used to be a parking lot, but Everett is putting in a 65,000 square foot building. So just a ton of things going on here. What we want to do is have you all on campus. We have students, faculty, staff, and our advisory council that all want to meet you. So we want to invite you to campus. But I'll try to deliver this update in a way that's kind of vivid, kind of gives you a sense of who we are as WSU Everett, and almost as if you're here. So I want to start, can you see my slide?
Yes.
You can? Yes, no? I'm looking, okay.
No,
Okay,
we can see it, Paul.
okay, good.
It's
So
a beautiful picture of me, by the way. No, I'm sorry.
that comes next. Now, so starting with this particular slide, this is an open space on the WSU Everett campus that we love very much, and it's called our Innovation Forum. And there's an interesting story behind this that really expresses who we are and who we're becoming as a campus. And so I will tell you this, but I'll tell you when you visit campus, I'll tell you the story. So I'll move on to my next slide. And what I'd like to do is give you an update on academic programs. One of the things that we're laser focused on here at Everett is growth. We want to continue to grow our student population. And so we have programs that, of course, that we're trying to build up, and then other programs that we want to bring to WSU Everett. So the first program I'll talk about is our BABA, our Bachelor's in Business Administration. This is our newest program. We just started it this past fall. And about this time last year, we got the go ahead that we could actually begin to offer this program. So kind of had a short runway, started this fall with about 9 students. And, not the best time to start a program, but we were happy that we had at least 9 students. And we know that with this program, we can have somewhere between 30 and 50 students in each of our cohorts. WSU Everett is upper division only. We offer the junior and senior year of the baccalaureate degree. So again, short runway, but we know that somewhere between 30 and 50 students for each of those years. So we're going to work on that growth. We have a lot of interest in this program, and so we're really excited about it. We have a brand new faculty member that's leading this program. That's Dr. Joe Gladstone. And we love Joe. He's an excellent faculty member. The students love him. And he's one that we want you to meet for sure. And we want him to give you a sense of his research. Fits very closely in some of the things that we've talked about in the Board of Regents meeting. He does work on Native American business. And so you really enjoy meeting Dr. Joe Gladstone. Another important program, data analytics program, had a great launch with this program, sputtered a little bit. We lost our lead faculty member for that program. Thanks to Chancellor Provost Chilton, we're back on track. In fact, we have a new faculty member, Dr. Sergey Lapin is our lead faculty member for this program. He just moved over to the West Side with his family, just started this semester. And so this is a program that's gonna really blossom for WSU Everett. I have to say this, data analytics, the first program that's administered right here on the Everett campus, both on the academic side and the business operations side, right here in Everett. Dr. Sergey Lapin is our associate director for this program. So we have an MOU with the College of Arts and Sciences. So we're still connected to the College of Arts and Sciences, but this program is housed here in Everett. It's our first program that's actually housed here in Everett. So thanks to Dr. Chilton for that. Cybersecurity operations. I think you've heard about this program. This is a new program that the governor was interested in. It was in his budget. We need the okay from the legislature and the dollars, of course. And so we're really excited about this because there's 2 aspects to this program. There's an engineering aspect, fits very closely with our engineering programs. And then there's a business aspect to this. So it fits very closely with what we're developing around business as well. So we're very excited about this opportunity and looking forward to seeing the outcome of this legislative session. Educational leadership. This is a doctoral program and kind of an interesting background. we've actually had this program on the Everett campus since we were across the street at Everett Community College. So essentially, we were a site for this program for our doctoral students to be able to access AMS, to be able to come together as a cohort and study together at WSU Everett. But it wasn't a formal program. It's on every other campus except the Everett program, the Everett campus. And so we've been working with the College of Education to develop this as a site. We want to add a faculty member that would be an advisor for these students. This faculty member would be a face-to-face teacher and then also be a director of research for their doctoral dissertation. So we'll have someone here local. Kind of got a push from Everett Public Schools. You know, they have teachers and administrators that they want to develop professionally, and they want to earn the doctorate. And so they gave us a good push. And there's other school districts that are interested. The interesting thing about this, we did some market research. We also found that there might be an opportunity for us to develop some paraprofessional educators. These are teaching assistants, and there's an opportunity for us to develop these teaching assistants into actual teachers. And these are primarily students from underrepresented backgrounds. So that's somewhere down the line, but there's an opportunity there as well. So we're really excited about that. The School of Community Solutions, this is one that we feel time has come for this particular program. We think that Everett would be an excellent location for this program and an excellent opportunity to develop these leaders who would use the community as their lab. And as we graduate these students, they would go out into the community and be leaders in social change within Everett and the North Puget Sound region. So the way we conceptualize this is it would have 4 pillars in terms of programs. These would be interdisciplinary programs. Crime and justice would be one. So we've been asked to have criminal justice pretty much since we've been in Everett. And so students would be in law enforcement, public affairs, those types of things. So there's 4 programs. The second one would be mental health and social well-being. Students interested in counseling, education, psychology, drug and alcohol counseling, those types of things, kind of healthcare and mental health care. Another degree program, community solutions. Now, I've had some conversations with my Chancellor colleagues, and there could be another program like social work. It could be another program instead of, say, community solutions. Social work would work well as also in this school, focus on human services, counseling, social science research, those types of things. And then the 4th program would be business and entrepreneurship. Through the college, Carson College of Business, we already have an entrepreneurship program. Some of our faculty members here teach in this area. And so this would be a focus on nonprofit management, new business startups, and social entrepreneurship. So a ton of opportunity there. And so these interdisciplinary programs that would, in these 4 different areas that would enrich each other, this is something that we think would be great. The other thing I want to mention is we've identified 11 feeder community colleges for WSU Everett. Now, this is post-pandemic, but about 5,000 students every year graduate with an AA degree in social sciences. So it's a good target for us. And this School of Community Solutions is one that could be a very viable one for this community and for WSU Everett. Last thing I want to mention is PASTA, the PASTA dollars, the Puget Sound Taxpayer Accountability Account. And these are dollars that come from the Regional Transit Authority, the new light rail that's going to come up to Everett. So these dollars are allocated to 3 counties, Pierce, Snohomish, and King counties. And the dollars are are allocated for education and providing educational access and assistance. And so in Snohomish County, Washington State University Everett has been designated as one of the institutions that's eligible for these dollars. This is a game changer for us. This will provide a base of funding for us to provide some tuition assistance and other types of assistance to our student population. And so that's an extremely important one for us moving forward as well. Before I go into this particular slide, what I'd like to do is talk a little bit about where we are. So for the past 3 semesters, and Kirk talked about this a little bit, we've seen a downturn in terms of our numbers. A little disappointing because until that point, we were just had a constant rise in our numbers. And so we've experienced that. This past spring, and you saw on the slide, we're down about 10% as of this week. I think today is the 10th day for our recording. I think when it's all said and done, we'll probably be 7 or 8% down. Just some last minute students getting through the gate there. But the good news is that we saw about a 24% growth in our applications for spring. And now, obviously, some of these students weren't eligible to actually start now. But the good thing is that we can follow some of these students, and some of them will be eligible for fall. Some of them might take them a little bit more time to get the kind of coursework that they need to be eligible to transfer to WSU Everett. But there's interest, and we see that the interest is starting to grow again. So we're going to work on that and build on that, and that's something that's really important for us moving forward. So we're thinking the target, the number is 2023. We think by then we'll have our feet back under us after this pandemic, and things will start to take off again. So I just want to point to this dashboard really quickly. This is something that's been developed by the Carson College of Business, and it gives us a sense of what happens with our students post-graduation. And so this career dashboard essentially tells us that for WSU Everett students, about 80% of those students who reported were employed full-time in their field of study, okay? Full-time in their field of study with an average salary of about $55K. So we're really proud of that. The other thing that we're really proud of is that our students are doing really well. Our students are landing jobs at places like Microsoft, Electro Impact, Amazon, Janicki Industries, and other tech companies, aerospace, advanced manufacturing companies. So we're really proud of the types of things that they're doing post-graduation. The other thing I want to mention is that we have students who are graduating from our Merle College Communication, and they're working at places like Aviation Technical Services, Fluke, So these students are graduating in communication, and then they're going into these tech companies. So what we're doing here is working. It's really working. In fact, we have our first intern who is a communication student who's working at PNNL, in Seattle. And so they're doing some excellent things. And so we're so very proud of them and what they're doing. So with that, I want to go to this slide, and this is probably the most important part of this presentation. And as a non-residential campus, one of the things we really focus in on is having our students participate in student clubs. Not only is there a social aspect to this, there's also that aspect of furthering the education and this kind of experiential learning. And so that's so very important. So this past fall, our Washington State University Everett Engineering Club formed a rocket team. And so they're doing some spectacular work. So we have a couple of our student leaders here. I saw that they're tuned in. And so we have Noah Thompson and Brendan Rosenkrantz. So Noah and Brendan, I'm going to turn it over to you.
All right, thank you so much. I'm Noah. I'm the I'm the rocket team lead, and I'm a mechanical engineering senior. And then Brendan, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, hi, I'm Brendan Rosencrans, and I'm a junior, and I'm also majoring in mechanical engineering too.
Yeah, so last semester we started this team, and we kind of just started off running. We I think about 7 of us joined last semester and got together and went out to this launch out past Yakima and launched these high-powered rockets up to, I think they went like 800 or 900 feet. And so it was a really fun time, Brendan. We actually have a sweet, got it going. Yes, we have this website that Brendan made for us. So just the first page talks a little bit about some of our goals. And probably the most important one on there is to compete in the 2023 IREC, which is the national competition for colleges. There's about 120 colleges attend, and so our goal in the future is to go to those. I won't be able to go because our team is not developed enough to do that, but that is another one of our goals, is to develop a team that can be sustainable so that in the 2022 or 2023 academic year, students can go and launch at this competition and be successful. If you want to bring up our 22 page. Yeah, so like this semester, we're working on getting students certified with the level 1 or level 2 certification, which allows us to launch different sized and powered motors. And we're also producing flight computers so that we don't lose any of these rockets, which happened at our last launch. Everybody except for me was able to collect their rocket and get certified. And so that kind of spawned a bunch of us creating these computers so that we can track our rockets and not lose any of them. And then also start creating a plan for this rocket competition, start creating some ideas about this rocket, what we want to do for it, how big it needs to be, kind of design the flight path and whatnot. Yeah, and then if you want to bring up the L1 launch. Yeah, so these are just pictures from that launch that we had back in when did we do the launch? October?
Yeah.
Back in October. So it's a great time, fostered a lot of development between us as students. So we do have a video or two all the way at the bottom. Yeah, so there was about 8 rockets that ended up doing that and being collected. So, and we have a really good sized team right now. If you want to go to the team members, we just show a few of them. Yeah, last semester we started with about 7 or 8, and I think this semester we have 12 or 13. So we're coming up, making some progress. Oh, not 12 or 13. What's that? Oh, it is 13.
Missing a couple more people on here that we haven't gotten their pictures yet.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Yeah, and then this is the this is a picture of all of the teams at that national competition. Some of those rockets are as tall as like 15 feet. So yeah, I think that just about covers it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we are also in communication with Everett Community College right across the street. They have a rocket team as well. And so part of creating a sustainable team is communicating with them about how to create a path that goes from Everett Community College that can transition directly to WSU Everett without losing ground in our team structure and whatnot. Yeah, that just about covers it. Any questions or anything?
Well, Noah and Brendan, first, I'd love to get the title Rocket Team Lead.
Yes.
That is solid. And I want to give a shout out to Julie. Looks like you're one of your female members for being in the Rocket Club and seeing how we get more individuals like Julie in there. But keep us posted on tracking your rocket. I think that too is so interesting. This is awesome. All the more reason why the Board of Regents needs to be spending some time up in Everett.
Yeah, come on down.
Team exercise, Paul, for us to go and see how this all works. But thank you so much for the presentation to both Noah and Brendan. Brendan, nice job on the website too, by the way. It looks
Thank
great.
you.
I did have one question, Marty. If the board visits Everett, can we play with the Rockets?
Most
Better
definitely.
believe it.
You have a mechanical engineering degree, Brett?
You don't need a mechanical engineering degree. They're not that complicated to build. The complicated part is getting your rocket back when it goes up 1,000 feet.
If I do that in my neighborhood, it's called terrorism.
Yeah.
Well, it's outstanding, Paul. This was, I'm so glad that you had them share this with us. What a treat.
Yeah. Thank you
Right.
guys for having us.
Thank you.
Thanks, Noah and Brendan. Thanks so much.
Can I just, oh, they're gone.
Oh, no.
Even though they're gone, I just want to say, especially for Noah, it can be hard as a student leader starting something and knowing that you're leaving before you get to see the fruits of your labor. And so as somebody who's started several clubs before, like, you're doing really important work to invest, and thinking about that that longevity and working with Everett Community College. That's just I'm very impressed and pleased. So thank you for your work. Go Cougs.
Thank you. Good
Cougs.
word, Shane.
Thank you, Regent Wright.
Okay, Paul, I'll turn it back to you.
Okay, yeah, I just have one more slide, and if I can. I don't think you can see it, can you?
We can see it, Paul.
Okay. Yeah, so just in closing, as I was reflecting on this past week in which we celebrated the life and legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King, I couldn't help but think of the work that we're doing in the Everett and North Puget Sound region. And just the fact that we are bringing Washington State University education to this community, a community that's been underserved educationally as it relates to baccalaureate and graduate education. And each of us here today, we really believe in the power of education. And, I think the work that we're doing here in Everett is excellent work. We're meeting with success. And I just want to end by saying that we're not done. And, there's plenty more work to do. And we're committed to doing that. So thank you for all of your support, and thank you for this opportunity to present to you.
Thank you so much. I'll open it up to the board for questions or comments. I would just say the School of Community Solutions. I think I'm ready to go back to university. That to me sounds like one of the most relevant, outstanding opportunities for WSU, but really for the state of Washington and for the next generation of people that need to try to somehow make a difference here. So Paul, that's incredibly exciting.
Thank you.
Comments, questions for Paul from the board?
Paul, I appreciate your presentation, and having been to Everett a couple different times, I am amazed with the leadership in both the academic program space and then the space with the innovation that students are continuing to show us in terms of just some of the inventions that are being done. And the rockets are not the only thing that are pretty exciting to see up there and see how they work. I would echo, I was writing down what you were sharing in terms of some of these new programs. And not only am I excited about what those programs look like, but I think they're so relevant and appropriate today. And that's some of the space that Everett has already been in as I think about some of the data analytics programs that Everett has led. So while it may be a small campus that's growing, I think the impact that you're having and the special uniqueness of that campus is something that we just need to make sure that we're spending more time understanding the great work that's being done there and how that can be leveraged within the overall system to serve our students. So just great work, and really appreciated the presentation, and always enjoy having students participate in our board meetings and share with us their experience. So thank you, Paul.
Thank you so much.
I would just like to thank Paul for his continued positive leadership in Everett, and those degree programs that he just put up there on that slide and talked about are ones that Paul has been working as chancellor for multiple years to get launched, and through a system, if you will, on new degree programs that wasn't really well articulated for non-Pullman campuses. And so there's a lot of work that went into that, and it's great to see those things getting either launched or relaunched with resident faculty in Everett that are going to be leading those efforts. So Paul, thank you for your continued persistence, dogged persistence at times to get those done. So thanks.
And thank you for your partnership, especially on the business program. That was very helpful.
Brett.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to echo those other positive comments. I try to be engaged and attend almost any event I'm invited to, but at virtually all of those events, you are there, and your engagement does not go unnoticed. We have our busy calendar for where the board spends its time, but do know we've engaged in discussions on how to get a group of us up to visit campus. Make sure you don't feel out on an island. So
no,
thank you so much.
We'll get you over here.
Paul?
Yes.
I remember the battle over Everett, and it was a battle. Knock down, drag out. People were fighting. It's pretty interesting, and you have taken Everett beyond what anybody ever dreamed of. Now we have a lot of people saying, well, we said that it was going to be okay. You made it okay. So I just want to thank you for the depth of your work. I want to thank you for your innovation, your welcoming of new ideas, your faculty. You have made Everett one of those campuses is okay to go to Everett because you're going to get a good education, good faculty, but it's your leadership. And I just need to give you a big shout out. I always do that when we talk about Everett, because you made a lot of people who were beaten up and stepped on and thrown out the door. You made, and they came back and said, we're going to have an Everett campus. We're going to have an Everett at Washington State University. You made them right. So people like my friend Bob Druell still smiles over Everett WSU. So I just want to say thank you again and again and again and again for your amazing, amazing work. And you make it look easy, but I know it's not.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. I just want to say that Everett and the North Puget Sound is cougar country.
Okay, thank you. So what a great way to start our morning. Now we will move into our consent agenda. We have two items on the consent agenda. The first one is the approval of minutes from the November 19th, 2021 Board of Regents meeting. And the second item is the discontinue the Bachelor of Arts in Interior Design at WSU Spokane. At this time, would any regent like to remove any item from the consent agenda? Okay, I move to approval of the consent agenda, and I'm asking for a second.
Second.
Thank you, Lisa. Regent Shower. Any further discussion from the board? Okay, let's all vote on this. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those
Aye.
opposed? Great, motion passes. Thank you. Okay, we are now moving into reports from shared governance groups. And our first shared governance report is going to be from the WSU Foundation Board of Governors. And we are fortunate enough to have our Mike Connell here to kind of kick us off with the foundation report.
Good morning, Regent Dickinson and everybody else. Thank you. Just doing a little screen management here. Bear with me for a moment. All right. Let me start by just acknowledging this is my first chance to join you all since accepting this position on what I've termed a more permanent basis. After 33 years at WSU, it's starting to feel somewhat permanent, but when you look forward, permanence has an interesting lens to it as well. So I really appreciate Kirk's confidence in me and the entire team. I'm quite passionate about WSU and I'm very passionate about our work. I'm just really excited to lead this team on this journey. I just want to tip my cap again to Paul. I really appreciate it when we have a chance to hear from students firsthand. I also want to tip my cap to the students. Most of us are hesitant to, we're still working on screen sharing, and these guys are, happy to share their screen and load some video, and it works and the whole thing. And you couldn't get me to do that with a gun to my head. There's just no way I would ever try it. So big thanks to Noah, Brendan for everything they're doing. Most of you know, at WSU Advancement encompasses development and alumni relations. The development side is kind of broken into two pieces. About 75 people work kind of in for with the WSU Foundation on our payroll. The other 75 are out there in the various campuses, colleges, and units, the fundraising teams. And then there's about 20-ish people at the WSU Alumni Association. So let me start by acknowledging Tim Pavish. Many of you know Tim, and Tim recently announced his retirement. Tim and I were in a meeting, and he said, Mike, I think he's 63. He said, I've been here 18 years. When I look forward 18 years, I'll be 80. And 80 is starting to sound a little, long in the tooth. And there's a lot of things Karen I would like to accomplish before we get to 80. So he said he was going to hang it up. Tim's predecessor was Keith Lincoln, one of the most prominent alumni WSU have ever had. And yet, Keith came to the job as a former football coach and former football player. Tim and his team have really elevated the work that happens at the Alumni Association. I'm just so appreciative of everything he's done for us and his team, what they've accomplished. We will start a national search to replace Tim in the coming weeks. I'm really excited about this opportunity. And I know that the next leader of the Alumni Association will do what Tim did, and that's to take us to the next level of success in alumni relations. I usually spend a few minutes at the front talking about people. I won't go too deep into the org chart, but I also think it's important to announce that, or to let you know, some of you saw this announcement, that for the last 30 plus years, Terry Kelly has been outside counsel to the WSU Foundation. Terry's going to join us next week as inside. He'll be our general counsel and serve as assistant secretary of our board. So we did a national search for that position as well. I'm delighted Terry applied, and really pleased to have him joining our team. On the people side, the other area for us is board relations. The WSU Foundation Board of Directors recently elected 5 new people to join our board. We'll do their orientation. We'll start that next week. Just real quickly, Sue Christensen, Sue and her husband Ken are up in the Mount Vernon, Burlington area. Many of you know them, very engaged with WSU over a long period of time. Cheryl Ocello, Cheryl and her husband Mark, longtime Spokane couple. Now they're spending a lot of time down in Scottsdale. Jack Pello. Jack grew up in Walla Walla and has been in Salt Lake City for a number of years. He and his wife Melinda. Liz Pritchard recently retired after working in the New York area and is now in upstate Michigan with her husband. She grew up in Ritzville. And then familiar name to many of you, Mike Worthy. Of course, Mike is from Pullman and longtime Vancouver resident. Mike and Kim are down in Vancouver. So those recruitments happened because our governance committee sought out some nominations. We vetted 50 names, ultimately kind of whittled it down. And then it's Kirk's engagement in this process that really fuels it. He talked earlier about the success we've had the first 6 months of this fiscal year. And Kirk's right. I mean, it's the strongest first half of the year we've had since 14. Really, really good start, and it's very broad across the institution. I think, one of the ways we track our support is where the dollars go within WSU to a various campus, college, or one of the other units. It sounds nuts, but 5 of those units have already hit their goal for the fiscal year. Another one, as of this morning, is at 99 they're 99% as of this morning, so they could get over the line later today. December is always busy at year end. This year was exceptionally busy. The folks behind, we appropriately highlight the donors for our support. Sometimes the development officers are highlighted, on the second floor, the people just kind of pounding away in there, working at their cubes, especially December. December, we talked yesterday, was very challenging in Pullman, a lot of snow. It was these people, WSU Pullman, much of it shuts down between Christmas and New Year's as a cost saving feature. These people kind of fought their way into the office. We processed more gifts in December of this year, double the amount we have in any of the last 4 years. And so this is a group that's just behind the scenes, cranking and grinding away. They're a little bit understaffed right now. We've had some turnover. So I just want to acknowledge what an awesome job our gift accounting and gift processing team did. Talked about the endowment a little bit yesterday. I know we'll talk about it again today. We don't have the December 31st numbers yet. As of November 30th, the endowment was at about $675 million. With December's market performance, we could see numbers where the endowment will have hit $700 million by the first time. We'll see. Fingers crossed there. The 12-month return as of November was 20.2%. So really, the investment committee is doing a really good job. And again, we use Mercer as an outside advisor. Looking forward, at the top of the list, of course, on the personnel side, we're always looking for good people. I think, again, somebody yesterday mentioned talent wars, and that really is what it feels like right now. Either finding the best people to join your team or keeping good people. We've got to be flexible. We've got to be nimble. We do have folks that telework now. We're just having, like many of you in your businesses, we're having to adjust to the current climate. But we can't do this work without having really good people. We are very focused on our talent management team, recruitment, retention, professional development, and then providing them a career track so that they can grow here at WSU and stay at WSU. A lot of talk yesterday and today about DEI. For what it's worth, we add the A, and so our work is referred to as IDEA, so the A being access. We do have an IDEA task force or committee that self-selected, and they lead that effort for us. John Derrick on my team is the liaison to the leadership group. We brought in an outside firm to do some training for us. They've done a nice job. There was some talk, we heard from Tremaine yesterday. We've had Tremaine do 3 different sessions with advancement. For those Regents that are able to participate in training with Tremaine, I couldn't endorse it more highly. It's been extremely beneficial to our team. A couple other things we're doing in this area that just kind of behind the scenes, it may not have hit your radar. We'll start an audit sometime in the next 6 months to just look through every account that was established with private dollars. We do work with donors on how those dollars are used, but some of those funds were set up 30 years ago or 40 years ago, and the language that's in that document may not be something that we would consider appropriate today. And sometimes even gift use doesn't align with the institutional values. So we will audit all of our gifted accounts to double check to make sure we're appropriately aligned today. Yesterday, again, I know we talked about the ESG investing and the investment committee working hard in that space. Phil yesterday and Kirk earlier today talked about the campaign. A couple things. One, I really appreciate the work of the campaign organizing committee. Secondly, I just want to reinforce we are really, really, really early in this campaign. We won't do anything public, and I realize it's a public meeting, but any sort of public launch is years and years away. But there is a lot of work being done in the campaign. The the old duck analogy where you see the duck on the pond, but down below that duck's just they're just cranking away. So that's kind of where the campaign is right now. Some of the things we'll work on this year will be training. We'll do training for our development staff. We have people that are doing fundraising right now that have never worked on a campaign. We'll do training for our current volunteers and new volunteers as we bring them on board. We'll do training for our university and academic leadership, so they are familiar with campaign fundamentals and a little more familiar with fundraising. And so that's a small example of what we'll do. Kirk, as I mentioned, has been Kirk's mentioned this too. He's been on the road in the field, working with donors, meeting with donors. It's kind of never ending work, but his leadership by example, showing that the other, the chancellors, hey, time to get in the car, jump on a plane. The deans are seeing Kirk do this. So that leadership by example is I'm grateful for it. And it really is work that needs to be done as best as possible, especially in this environment, face to face. And when I look at it at fiscal, we're going to finish fiscal 22, but my job is also look out at 23 and beyond. And the challenges with Omicron and even prior iterations of the virus, we have fallen a little bit behind in developing new relationships. We've done an awesome job, the whole team, in working with those donors who we already know, but it's been harder to develop new relationships. So our planning for 23 and beyond still has a little bit of an asterisk on it. Speaking of planning, I have appointed a strategic planning group. They'll work on a 10-year strategic plan for advancement. We will get input from a variety of places, whether it be our advancement staff, the volunteers, college, faculty, campus leaders, etc. The first major step of that was we sent out an anonymous and confidential survey to the advancement team earlier this week. So I look forward to seeing kind of what their thoughts are relative to our strategic planning process. And we'll be sure to integrate and make sure it's complementary with the university and system plans. I think that's probably enough, but I could go on forever on advancement related stuff. Mostly, I just want to say thank you again to the Regents for all you're doing for WSU. I'm acutely aware of the fact that the time is your most valuable resource and how much time you share with WSU. And again, I want to thank our board for their time, and President Schultz and the other university leaders who are very committed to advancement. And just a tip of the cap I've decided to just call her Dr. Chilton. I'm getting rid of the whole chancellor, provost, designate thing, and she's just Dr. Chilton to me. So you must be doing something right if the boss accelerated the promotion by 6 months. So congratulations again, Dr. Chilton, and I really look forward to working with you as well. I'll turn it back over to you, Regent Dickinson. I certainly welcome any questions.
So Marty had to step away, so she asked me to chair for a few minutes. So any questions from the Regents for Mike? All right, Mike, thanks for stepping in the role, and we're glad to have you permanently in that position. I don't know who made that decision, but I think it was a good one. So, and with that, we'll move on to our agenda. Next up is our Faculty Senate Chair, Doug Call. Doug?
Yes.
Welcome.
Thank you very much, Kirk, and thank you for the opportunity to address the board this morning. And also, following Chancellor Petrie's presentation, I want to do a shout out to the Everett faculty. They're actually in the process of approving bylaws for a new faculty association, and this is an organically evolving model in governance here at WSU across the system, where each of the campuses is forming their own local association that will work with the faculty senate to make sure that issues are being addressed. So they're pushing forward with that. We're very pleased. Faculty Senate continues to do a lot of work behind the scenes, ensuring our academic programs are representing the best possible opportunities for our students. And I could go on for a long time about that, but we don't need to at this particular format. But I do want to just highlight a couple of things that have happened very recently that, again, I think show a very positive commitment toward shared governance here at WSU. One of those is the recent suspension of what's called Academic Policy 38B. This is a policy that was Well, let me read it to you briefly. First-year undergraduate students are recessed from the university after their first term of enrollment if their semester grade point average is below a 1. And the reason that policy was in place was to catch the students who were obviously not ready for where they were sitting and give them a chance to collect their thoughts, decide if this is an investment that was good for them or not. But we decided at the behest of the provost's office, and in particular Bill Davis, who's the interim vice provost for academic engagement and student achievement, concerns over students who are dropping off the map from the pandemic problems was leaving them at risk at their first semester. It cuts them off from academic assistance and student support programs that we offer. So what we wanted to do was suspend that temporarily as an experiment. That came with an assurance from Bill Davis that there would be basically a full court press to see what we could do to help those students recover and get back on course. We've asked for a report after this experiment's done to see how things work, but I'm been assured and I'm feeling very confident that it was a good decision and that we'll be able to help a lot of students from being able to do this. At another part, Provost Chilton and Vice President for Finance and Administration, Stacy Pearson, unveiled the system level modified RCM budget model to the Faculty Senate. I think we had a lot of interest in that model, and obviously things are still in development. We're looking forward to her return in March, so we can actually get some more detail. And she's also offered to meet with us more extensively to discuss that model as things continue to develop. We really appreciate that. The Faculty Executive Committee met with both the President and the Provost in December. We had a lot, again, these are the meetings that I cherish. It's an opportunity to have really problem-solving discussions. I bring up a problem, they ask, where's the data? How do we get the data? We have a solution proposed, they have a solution proposed. Either way, we start down a track to start addressing these issues. And that continued in that December 14th meeting, along with some discussions about various issues that are coming up here on the horizon. I also want to just briefly mention that we are moving forward with our efforts to improve our governance and representation in the Faculty Senate through a new system for staffing or finding members for our various academic committees and faculty affairs committees here at Washington State in the Faculty Senate to make sure that we're getting good representation across the system and across all individuals. This is different from the default model of what we call the network model, where we find people who are willing to work, and we typically reach out to people we know. And that by itself automatically lends itself to a narrower population. In any case, that's in process right now, and we will be testing that model this spring. Overall, I have to say the faculty are pretty exhausted, as you might imagine, with the ongoing pandemic, frustrated with testing challenges, and a little worried about the adequacy of the budget or the potential salary increase that the supplemental legislative session is looking into, but it's a start, and so we're hoping that will go well. And on a positive note, I do believe that the majority of faculty are very pleased to be in the classrooms and in the labs, and happy to keep plowing forward because we know that's what we got to do. So that's all I wanted to give you today. Any questions?
Thank you, Doug. Appreciate it. And please pass along to the faculty that we appreciate the effort and the work that they're doing to be in person, and the ongoing resiliency needed by everybody to make it through yet another round of all of this. So we have gratitude towards that. So thank you.
You bet. Thank you very much.
Okay, moving on, we have our ASWSU Everett President, Patrick Freelinger. Patrick, are you there? There you are.
Right here. Yeah. Oh, getting framed better. Hello. So yeah, I'm Patrick. I'm the ASWSU Everett president. So today I just wanted to talk about a couple of accomplishments that the WSU Everett has gained. One such thing is the director of legislative affairs here at WSU Everett. She is now working in Olympia as a Washington State legislative intern, which is a pretty exclusive role. There's only like 70 positions filled for this internship, and she was able to snag one of those. And she's a really brilliant leader, and I think we're all really proud to see her move on to such a powerful role. She's going to be in connection with a lot of really influential leaders in Olympia, so we're really excited to see what she can do for her community. And it's just great to see, you know, someone from WSU Everett do such great things with their academic career.
Justin, I don't mean to interrupt you. Can you tell us what her name is?
Jessica Cupcake with a K.
Jessica Cupcake. That's an easy name to remember.
Mhm.
Great. Okay, thank you. That's outstanding for her.
Yeah. And then another accomplishment I wanted to talk about was our Orca Bus Pass program that we offer to students. It was really popular at the start of last semester. We were able to hand out all of the Orca cards that we purchased exactly, funnily enough. But since Everett is the commuter campus, I think it's really essential that we have, you know, something like this to give our students access to public transport should they need it, because a lot of students commute from, you know, 2 cities over, 3 cities over. So not only a popular program, but an essential one, in my opinion. And then also we do face some challenges. So I do want to touch on a couple of challenges that WSU Everett has been facing. One of those things is the scale of the facility that we have. Since it's only one building, student life, it's kind of a struggle to find space for students to really like flourish and you know, perform their activities, and just spaces for them to do that. It's really hard to find sometimes. So we are looking at a land acquisition. So that's great, I think. And then also one last challenge is that our advisor to program ratio is a bit high, in favor of more programs, less advisors. So that could be quite a struggle for us, as we have, you know, all these programs that require academic advising, yet there aren't you know, enough academic advisors to suit students' needs. And just like a way of acquiring more advisors here at the Everett campus would be something that I would really like to see, because mostly that process is fulfilled via Pullman. So yeah, so that's all I have to speak on today. I'm open to any questions.
Well, one, thank you, Patrick, for your leadership and stepping up and stepping out to fulfill the role as ASWSU Everett president. That's a big deal. I appreciate the comments, and good for us to be aware that we're lacking some common space in which you guys can gather. And so we hear you on that. So appreciate you sharing that. And if you get a chance, drop Jessica an email and tell her congratulations on behalf of the Board of Regents.
Of course, thank you.
Questions for Paul, or excuse me, Paul. I'm looking at you because you're next to it, but Patrick, questions for Patrick or anybody with the name P, because apparently that's where I seem to be going this morning. Okay, thank you, Patrick. Best of luck to you this semester. Next up, we have our GPSA president, Rianne Chilton. This is Rianne's first time presenting to the board. So welcome, Rianne. We're glad to have you. And we'll turn it over to you.
Hi, thank you so much. My name is Rianne Chilton, no relation to our wonderful Chancellor over in Pullman. So yes, this is my first time getting to address you all because I shifted into this role at a little bit of an odd time in the semester, but I'm so happy to be here and then tell you a little bit about the Graduate and Professional Student Association in Pullman. So obviously it's an interesting transition this last semester for graduate students, but we're really proud of the work that we've been able to do. I'll highlight a couple of our kind of key programming efforts. So the first one is our social programming. So this is one we were really excited to get to transition to some more in-person events this semester. We've had a decent turnout, though still lower numbers than we've seen in previous years. But we're excited to offer more hybrid events. Next semester, we're going to be doing a book club, which everyone's really excited about. We offered yoga and restaurant week and game nights and all kinds of fun stuff. So really looking forward to get to continue to offer that to our graduate and professional students. Our professional development initiative continues to be very, very popular. We're so excited to get to do that with the graduate school. Had some really cool conversations and workshops this last semester. One of our really popular ones was Women Don't Ask, negotiation and the gender divide. That one was really cool. We continue to offer RSO funding. So that's our graduate and professional student groups across the campus. We have 17 organizations we were able to support this last semester. And we see all kinds of programs and initiatives coming from them that are really popular. We are offering dissertation grants. This is a program that's a little newer, but is already very popular among graduate students. This helps students in their final year kind of get through the last minute costs of completing their dissertation. We are so pleased with our awards and scholarships work. So we get to recognize graduate students who have demonstrated excellence in a variety of categories like teaching, research, leadership, and service. Our research expo is coming up in the spring, and so is our evening of excellence, where we will honor those students who have been recognized for those different areas of exemplary work. We're really excited for that. And then our travel grants, we've got to reinitiate that program in a way that we didn't have in the previous year, supporting academic related travel for things like conferences, which is often really important for students' career paths. So those are the key areas I wanted to hit. I just wanted to also share, some of our programs we're seeing a little bit less engagement, where other areas we're seeing really impressive engagement. So in our advocacy areas and within our GPSA Senate, we've had really impressive turnout, students really active and engaged. And that has been wonderful. We have our upcoming Coug Day at the Capitol this upcoming Monday. And we've got a number of students, both undergrads and grads, turning out to participate in that, meeting with, I think, like 40 legislators in one day. So that's going to be really exciting. So yeah, thank you all for your time. I appreciate it. And I'm open to any questions.
Thank you, Rianne. Again, welcome. And appreciate that you stepped in kind of halfway through, and know that that can be a little challenging from a leadership standpoint. So thank you. Any questions for Rianne at this time? Laura, Regent Powell.
Okay. Hi, Rianne. Thank you for as Marty said, jumping in and taking on this challenge. I was just wondering, it sounds like things are getting back more to normal, whatever that is, for graduate students and conferences and research. How are things sort of going in that realm? It was so tough during COVID, because when you're a graduate student, you're trying to do research and you can't either be on campus or, work in a lab or whatever. Conferences were all online. How is that going, and how do you feel it's working as far as the trek towards getting the degree and professional development for the graduate students?
Yeah, thank you for that question. That's certainly been a major area of concern for graduate students. I will say we're seeing a lot more opportunities for presentations in person and conference travel, though we're also seeing a lot of conferences choose to be hybrid. And so we're still, and even during times when travel was even less frequent, there were often hybrid options. So students are still getting some of that experience. I will say the one thing that is maybe a comfort in the experience of being delayed and, you know, maybe not having as many conference or in-person conferences as students might have historically is we're all in it together. So even though we may have some of these experiences be a little different, our research may be on a little bit different path than we initially expected, that's true across the board. So fortunately, when we're kind of, for example, I'll be applying to internships in the near future, everyone will have a similar kind of different types of experiences than previous cohorts have. So.
Great, thank you, Rhian. Any other questions, comments? Okay, well, good luck to you in your second semester as well. Okay, next up, we have Administrative Professional Advisory Council President, Anna McLeod. Welcome, Anna.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Thank you for having me again. I have just a short report today. At the last Board of Regents meeting, APAC reported that we finished up our survey and there were a few regents that asked for data. We are still working on that, pulling some of that together, as well as putting together an executive summary of our survey results that we collected last semester. We are taking this next semester as an opportunity for some growth and really focusing on resilience. So helping the AP staff across the system with some resilience trainings, avoiding burnout. We just offered a professional development opportunity on receiving and giving feedback. So really focusing on those things that we can do to help support our AP staff through these times of opportunity. We are really looking forward to our AP Appreciation Week coming up this semester, just as a great way to give back to our staff and celebrate everything that we've been doing. And let's see here, we are looking at restructuring some of our meetings. As we know, time is limited and very valuable these days. And we want to make sure that we're using our time to our advantage and making sure that it is valuable for our attendees. So that is my report for today. We continue to work on our professional development and our DEI work. And thank you for having me, and I welcome any questions.
Thank you, Anna. Comments, questions for Anna at this time? Okay, we appreciate you being here. Welcome back, and we'll see you again.
Yep, thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we have Alumni Association, Shelley Spangler, and Shelley will be presenting, as you see, via Zoom. Welcome, Shelley.
Hi, guys. Thank you so much for having me here today. This is always such a fun experience for me. I get to come and talk to you about the best darn alumni association in the whole wide world. And so that's what I'm going to do today and give you kind of a brief snapshot of a couple of the amazing things that we've been up to in the Alumni Association. So I'm going to start with Title IX at 50. So in March, on March 4th this year, we're going to host the second annual Women's Leadership Summit. The virtual event's going to focus this year on the 50th anniversary of Title IX, prohibiting sex-based discrimination in federally funded education programs, and notably WSU's connection to that. The summit will explore how far we've come, a reflection on the impact of Title IX. And we're lucky again this year to have WSU First Lady, Dr. Noel Schultz, helping lead this effort. And she's going to be our panel moderator for this second session or leadership summit. And we've got an amazing group of panelists. Attorney and WSUA past president Jane Young's going to join us. Retired women's basketball coach and Title IX advocate, Dr. Sue Durant's going to be with us. Retired WSU Senior Associate Athletic Director and WSU Athletic Hall of Fame member, Marcia Sandholtz. Cindy Brunson, you'll recognize Cindy as a play-by-play voice for Pac-12 Network, Fox Sports 1, ESPN. And then we've also got confirmed WSU Athletics Hall of Fame member and WSU Javelin record holder, Jeannie Helfer, joining us so far on the panel. So I had the good fortune of getting to participate in our first Women's Leadership Summit last year, and it was a blow the doors off the place success. I think we had over 200 people participate in the online event and double that of people be able to watch the recording afterwards. And so I'm just really excited to get to keep the wheels moving on this one and to do this again this year. So moving on, let's talk about wine, right? It's never too early in the morning for Cougs to talk about wine. So our Wine by Cougs Wine Club just celebrated its 15th year. And in those 15 years, the official wine club for Cougs has featured over 150 Cougar connected wineries and has more than 725 members across the US. Pretty much making us the envy of every wine club out there. I think we have the most successful program for sure, especially sponsored by an alumni association. Wines by Cougs celebrates the impact of WSU and our alumni and that impact that they have on the wine industry. Our Cougar Collector Series is another creative program that the WSUAA and Wine by Cougs has created. And I'm pleased to announce that Basalt Cellars will be creating our Cougar 9, which is the next installment in the series. Basalt is founded by Cougs Rick Wassam and Linda Fleming, and they produce beautiful, bright, exceptional wines. And so really excited about Cougar 9. So another great announcement from the Wine Club is in March, aligned certainly with the Women's Leadership Summit, and March 8th being International Women's Day, and March 28th actually being National Women in Wine Day. The Wine by Cougs, we're going to take the opportunity to showcase wines from outstanding female alumni who are reshaping the wine industry. So we're really excited to honor those women and promote the extraordinary work that they're doing. So my last announcement is definitely bittersweet, as Mike alluded to. Tim Pavish, our fearless leader and the executive director of the Alumni Association, is retiring in February after 18 years at the helm. Under Tim's direction, the WSUA's accomplishments are nothing short of amazing. Tim's innovative and forward-thinking leadership has really fueled the association's many, many achievements. I'll name a couple, but they're certainly not limited to this, of course. But in Tim's tenure, the Alumni Association has more than tripled the number of members that we have. We're well over 43,000 members currently, which is quite a feat. Increased alumni engagement programming sixfold. Doubled the number of Cougar license plates on the road. We're at 23,667. I'm happy to say, as a new Washingtonian, two of those most recent ones are mine. WSU, has launched a myriad of groundbreaking programs, especially through the pandemic, to keep Cougs connected to the university, and that's just something I think we're all so proud of. We've awarded and continue to award an impressive amount of student scholarships every year. Tim, I'm a finance person, so Tim, over his 18 years, has produced 18 years of balanced budgets and clean audits, so that's definitely a feather in the cap. And I know Tim has been tapped across the university several times by University Relations, the Foundation, and Athletics for his experience in marketing and advertisement. And, Tim is just a tried and true Coug. And so we're really excited for him on this next adventure, this next step in his life. That's certainly sad for us. Personally, I'll just say I'm so grateful for Tim's confidence in me throughout my journey within the Alumni Association. His service and servant leadership in the association is really something to be admired. And Tim's certainly going to be, there are going to be big cowboy boots to fill. Mike, we've got a big role to fill his cowboy boots, but I think his legacy is really in the strength of the world-class team that he's led and developed in the Alumni Association. And whomever fills this role is going to be so fortunate to be able to join such a strong cast. So cheers to Tim, and thanks to Tim for everything over the last 18 years. And with that, I will welcome any questions or comments, and thank you guys again. Go Cougs.
Thank you, Shelley. Wow, well, what a lovely tribute to Tim. And he's fortunate to work with people like you that give their time. And so thank you. And 23,000, I mean, I've got 4 of those too. So you're not allowed to have a car in my family, even if you go to the University of Arizona without your COOG license plate. So
exactly.
It's my one way of keeping my finger on it. Questions, comments for Shelley while we have her here.
Hey, Shelley, thank you so much for your service. And yeah, this is one of the strong points of the university, no question about it. And it always thrills me to hear about it. How are you guys involved in admissions? What is the role of the Alumni Association in encouraging folks to think about WSU and doing outreach there?
Nothing, I guess that nothing that I know of that's a structured, but I think it's definitely an organic sort of an involvement. You know, I'll draw from experience. We, you know, often at the events that we're having, whether it's in Washington or communities across the country, you're getting generations of COOGs and future COOGs, right? So, you know, if mom and dad went to WSU and they're bringing high schoolers to, you know, a watch party or a, you know, night at a professional sporting event or something, oftentimes that's a really good engagement piece for us to be able to, as alumni, talk to, you know, potential future students who have interest in the university and things like that. So that certainly happens quite a bit, which is a really good connection point for admissions and future students. So
great. I think there might be a way to gamify something there where we you know, do something to get you guys doing even more, because you're all such natural, great ambassadors for the university, and all universities right now are struggling with making their case to prospective students, not only on why us, but why college at all. And just helping people understand what the opportunities are and how differentiated we are with all of our different campus locations, et cetera. So maybe this is a to-do under our admission strategy, but I'd love to see some planning there for how we can do more to make use of your great ambassadorship.
Yeah.
Thank you, Regent Redmond. Yeah, all hands on deck in a time when we might be looking at, you know, some enrollment decline. Now's the time to put all of our soldiers out there. So any other comments for Shelley this time?
Regent Dickinson, this is Mike. Again, just to one other piece on Regent Redmond's question. The Alumni Association does have a scholarship program, and a lot of those scholarships do go to new students. Many of the scholarships at WSU are connected to the academic colleges, and so the recipients are often juniors and seniors who are certified in their major. But the Alumni Association scholarships, they are very broad, and it is a recruitment tool that WSU uses. Yeah.
Thank you, Mike. Okay, that concludes our reports from shared governance groups. So again, thanks to everyone for participating today. We now are going to move into our committee reports, and we're going to keep moving along here. So thanks for sticking with us, everybody. Regent Shetler, I'm going to turn it to you to review the Strategic and Operations and Excellence Committee report. And just as a reminder, when we get to the portion of the motions, I'll be reading those.
That's right. Thank you, Chair Dickinson. And yesterday, the Strategic and Operational Excellence Committee met, and we heard 6 presentations, 2 of which are action items that, as Chair Dickinson mentioned, will be addressed in a few moments. I'd like to acknowledge each of the presenters for their thorough and thoughtful reports. The breadth and depth of each report made it quite evident to the board that WSU is greatly benefited and in good hands as a result of the very smart, hardworking, and intentional leaders who are making positive impacts in the lives of students and the WSU community through their inspirational work. Of note, we heard updates and had lengthy discussions on WSU's tribal consultation policy. There was an update and discussion on system-wide efforts on faculty equity, diversity, and inclusion, supporting faculty and reducing inequities. We received a presentation on marketing and communications, as well as updates on the WSU Foundation Environmental, Social, and Governance Investment Strategy, and a legislative update as well. As I mentioned, there are 2 action items presented to the board. The first is a proposed update to the WSU Foundation Consolidated Endowment Fund Investment Policy Statement and Spending Policy. And the second involves a recommendation to name the athletics indoor practice facility. So at this time, I'll turn the agenda back to Chair Dickinson to address the 2 action items. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we will be looking, I'll be reading and looking for approval on motion 1 here. So motion 1, I move that the Board of Regents approve the proposed update to the WSU Foundation Consolidated Endowment Fund Investment Policy Statement and Spending Policy as proposed. Can I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any further discussion on this? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Those opposed?
Aye.
Right. Motion passes. I will move to the second motion that we have. It is the facility name recommendation for the athletic indoor practice facility naming. Before bringing the motion, I note that for the record, it was decided that this item would be presented as an action item rather than a future action item in accordance with Board of Regents bylaw 1112.b. I move that the Board of Regents approve the recommendation to name the new WSU Athletics indoor facility as the Taylor Sports Complex as proposed. I'm looking for a second.
Second.
Thank you, Enrique. Board discussion on this? Okay, this is very exciting. We're very appreciative of the Taylors and their longtime support. They've been incredibly instrumental in fundraising and just being great stewards of WSU. So all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Excellent. Motion passes and we have a new name for our athletic indoor practice facility. Okay. We are concluding with our Strategic and Operations Committee, and we are moving into our Student Affairs and Student Life Committee report. Enrique or Regent Cerna, please.
Thank you, Marty. We received an excellent presentation yesterday from Dr. Jenny Kraska. She is a clinical psychology postdoctoral fellow in athletics, and she is also the lead mental health clinician for student athlete mental health services. She works with Dr. Sunday Henry, who's the director of athletic medicine. We got an update really on how they are working with student athletes in dealing with their mental health issues, and also received some, I think, some very good information about why this is so important. Among the things that she shared was that student athletes have shown that they underutilize mental health services as compared to non-student athletes. There's also public stigma from, social media, personal stigma that is, concerned about what others might think of them if they seek some type of mental health services, and beliefs that seeking some type of help is a sign of weakness. I think there is that kind of mentality among athletes that you got to suck it up and deal with it. And so that's the other things that often just increase the mental health issues that they have. Some of the other things she told us is that college student athletes have reported higher levels of mental health concerns, including anxiety and depression. much higher than the general student population. Mental health concerns reported in spring and fall of 2020 were average of up to 2 times higher than pre-pandemic studies. And of course, you know, the COVID and the pandemic has only added to all of these things, and that the issues of mental health are highest among some demographic subgroups, among student athletes of color, women, those who identify LGBTQIA, and those that are also facing economic hardships and just trying to go to college and then do athletics at the same time. I think on the positive note, the one thing that's really been helpful is those professional athletes and others who were quite prominent, speaking out about their own challenges. You know, athletes such as Simone Biles, Naomi Osaka, Kevin Love, basketball player, and swimmer Michael Phelps have spoken out about the need to seek some mental health services and what they've been doing. So I think that that has been a real positive in helping other athletes realize that, you know, if you have an issue, that there's nothing wrong with seeking some type of mental health. The approach at WSU is one where there is an effort to talk about it, also encourage the athletes to seek support and provide support. There's crisis lines that are available, and efforts through Cougar Health Services and the Office of the Dean, where students can either try to reach some type of assistance via telephone or through text messaging or online. Collaboration with the Pac-12 for mental health coordinating group. There's been a summit of which WSU has been involved with. There's also an effort called Behind Happy Faces. One of the other presenters that we had was Shelby McKay. Shelby is with, she is, let me see here, the Assistant Director of Athletics for Student Athletic Development. There's an effort there, it's an orientation effort for all the students that come in that are student athletes called Kinnis 496. There's a training there for the other students that are involved. All of this is led by a student athlete advisory committee, but the idea is to expose those incoming student athletes to the fact that there is mental health services available. Tremaine Gaither is involved in this and in some of the efforts that he's been doing through mindfulness and the work there. The big concern regarding mental health is what we also heard and what we haven't heard from other departments and projects there at the university, and the fact that other programs really, that not enough people. Dr. Kraska is really she's the only clinician available to help the student athletes right now. And so compared to other universities, USC has as many as 8 people in that role. So WSU, while is doing, I think, providing good services as far as much as they can for the students, you know, the future concern is that there's an increasing demand. They need some staff expansion, or would like it. And so they, on top of that, would then be able to provide some more mental health programming and outreach. So those are the things to keep in mind, and they wanted to make us aware of all of that. And I think as Regents, if we can provide that support, I think that would be very important. If my fellow Regents on the committee have anything else they want to add to that, and that's Regent Blankenship and also Regent Wright, if there's anything else that I missed that you want to add to this, please jump in now. If not, I'll move on. Brett?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think it was apparent to all of us we're extraordinarily understaffed in this area, even though we've talked about the importance of mental health support or emotional support for several years now. And it may dovetail with our new budgeting model, things we can pivot to where things need to be backed up. But I think that was the bottom line of my takeaway. I don't know if that was your impression, but that was mine.
Oh, definitely. Dr. Kraska is, like I said, a postdoctoral fellow, and she's actually filling a role that was a full-time clinician. And so she's really there by kind of by herself. So in that case, yeah, when you have one person really available, to try to help the student athletes, I think they're doing great work. Again, it's an issue of staffing. So I think it's something for us to definitely consider, particularly since this is a real issue for the student athletes, as well as our, students in general, but particularly for our student athletes who I think face a lot of different pressures regarding mental health issues. We had one other item, and that was presented to us by Ellen Taylor, and that is some change of language. It's something that we're actually going to be taking up, I believe, in March. It's regarding the state administrative code and standards of conduct for students, but we'll take that up as an action item, I believe, in March. So that's my report.
Thank you, Regent Cerna. Great report. Okay, we are moving over to Regent Powell to share a little bit about the Research and Academic Affairs Committee.
Hey, thank you. We started our session considering basically a housekeeping item to discontinue the Bachelor of Arts in Interior Design at WSU Spokane, and that was accepted as part of the consent agenda earlier today. We then moved on to several information items. The first was an interesting discussion of a dual credit program that's under development by Global Campus Chancellor Dave Soleil. This is a sort of a new innovation on programs that help us high school students in their junior and senior year get transitioned into college. Running Start is probably the most well-known one. This, though, would be totally online. It would, high school teachers, select teachers would be trained and paid separately to teach on the online courses for students. One of the reasons for doing this is that there are a lot of locations where students in high school do not have the access to some of these programs that prepare them for college and even give them college credit. So this will actually, it's still under development, but it will, when it gets launched, it will start with students in rural areas and in those areas where students don't matriculate into universities, higher education in great numbers. So I think it's an opportunity not only to give these students some extra opportunities in life and preparation for college, but I think that it very likely could get them associated with WSU as our pipeline for students in the future. We then moved on to items that were approved under delegated authority, and Provost Chilton gave us a brief overview of those. The first was a degree renaming for the PhD and Master of Science degrees in veterinary sciences to the PhD and MS degrees in biomedical sciences. The second was basically an extension of the Bachelor of Arts in Chemistry to WSU Vancouver. The final item on our agenda was from the Office of Research, and this was around research security. There's been a lot of press about at some universities where professors did not disclose work that was going on with China. I'm sure you've seen a lot of that in the news. And particularly one where a Harvard professor was not only just not disclosing research, but accepting $50,000 a month in compensation, which was not disclosed. So one of the things that's really important is for researchers to make sure that they do disclose these types of any type of research that they are doing for a foreign entity. This has been required for quite some time and is getting much greater attention from U.S. funding agencies, and reporting is expanded and being focused on tremendously. It's a delicate balancing act because we want to make sure that our both our research internationally is strong, as well as recruitment of students from other countries is strong. But at the same time, it's really important for us to protect all non-public research material and information, and particularly to be transparent and accountable in conducting research with foreign collaborators. So our Office of Research, in connection with researchers throughout the WSU system, have been really working very hard to get a very strong, transparent accountability program in place and reporting in place. And while it is still ongoing, there have been a lot of a huge progress, and they're working closely in collaborations with other partners at universities throughout the state. So it was, to me, it was a comfort, and I believe to the committee, it was a comfort to know that that this program is very actively working with our faculty to make sure that we are in alignment with reporting requirements, but also that we continue to make sure that we are very open to international collaboration and open to having international students on our campus. Both of those latter things are really important for our development as an institution. Can I ask if there's anyone else on the committee that has any comments they'd like to add? Okay, hearing none, I'll turn it back to you, Marty.
Thank you, Regent Powell. Okay, we are moving into our final committee report, which is the Finance and Compliance Committee. I will be doing that update on behalf of Regent Shower. It was, as always, a packed agenda with our Finance and Compliance Committee, but two highlights that I think merit some attention and just awareness is that we, as Regents, had a very robust discussion regarding the budget model. I thought that Regents did a really nice job asking some very thoughtful questions around, number one, what's the makeup of the budget committee, how the model will look as far as transparency around strategic investments. Also, we know change can be very difficult and uncomfortable at times, and this is a change. And so how this model may and may not be accepted internally. We think overall, in talking with Chancellor Chilton, that we really do believe that it will be accepted widely. It's going to be a tool that I think will be welcomed by many. So appreciation for the time and attention as this model continues to be developed. And we wish both Vice President Pearson and Elizabeth a lot of success and good luck on moving through it. And we will stay in lockstep with you as you do that. The next thing that we did is we reviewed the anticipated tuition proposal for 2022-2023. Vice President Pearson provided an overview of the tuition setting, while Vice President Kerr discussed the legislative context for the tuition increases. The Regents were interested in a follow-up discussion focused on the impacts to non-resident students, the identification of other funds that students can access to offset tuition increases, and then also wanting that additional legislative context as we move into our March meeting around understanding strategy overall, what's happening at the legislature, As we know, we're 12 days in, so it was a little premature, as Vice President Kerr had shared with us. But we also want to kind of take all of these factors into place come March as we talk about enrollment and then this anticipated annual tuition increase. So more to come on that in March, and that's always an interesting time to have those conversations, and now more than ever. So thank you, Vice President Pearson, for your help on that yesterday as well. We have two motions for the Finance and Compliance Committee. The first one is the WSU Vancouver Life Sciences Building, and it's a request for increase in the project budget. I move the Board of Regents adopts resolution number 220121-649 and approve an increase of $2.7 million in the project budget for the WSU Vancouver Life Sciences Building, and further delegate authority to the president and/or his designee to enter into any and all contracts necessary to complete the project within the budgeted amount of $59.8 million as proposed. And I'm looking for a second.
Second.
Thank you. That was Regent Redmond. Okay. At this time, any discussion on this motion? Any questions or discussion? Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Those opposed? Excellent, motion passes. The next action item we have is in regards to the WSU system parking rates and fines. I move that the Board of Regents adopt resolution 220121-650 and delegate authority to the president and/or designee to approve increases in parking rates and fines for all WSU campuses for each of one or more fiscal years up to certain limits as proposed. I'm looking for a second.
Second.
Thank you, Regent Cerna. Discussion on this action item. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes. Okay. We are now into other business. I wanted to state that yesterday, January 20th, the Regents met in executive session with legal counsel to discuss the performance of a public employee. The Regents will not be taking any action related to those discussions at this time. So we are now entering into our public comment period. And Kyle, I'm going to work with you, I think, to do this. But our first individual who has signed up is Armando Antonino. He's our actually ASWSUV president. So Armando, welcome. Thanks for joining us. You have 2 minutes.
Thank you so much for having me. A quick overview. I wanted to provide some updates around the Student Government Council of Washington State University, in which I have the honor to chair. The Student Government Council, or SGC, is comprised of our student leaders from all the ASWSUs in the system, including our GPSA friends on the Pullman campus. And for the first time in almost 2 years, in this past summer, we gathered on the Pullman campus to discuss our priorities for the year, as well as learn how to be students and student leaders in our current environment, and having an additional opportunity in October to meet on the Tri-Cities campus to go over budgets and ask each other as leaders really tough questions around our own budgets, as well as equality and equity. And next, we have the opportunity to connect in Everett in just a few weeks to go over and recap our legislative efforts that all student leaders are making on a daily in regards to our priorities. And we'll also have the opportunity to spend some time strategic planning and really ensuring that SGC is the best organization it can to represent all WSU, especially as we move forward to a stronger One WSU model. And with that, I also want to thank the leadership of Dominic and Ellen, who will be supporting us in some of our workshops in a few weeks, as well as the leadership teams from Everett and Global, who have been providing support, both logistics as well as resources. And with that, thank you.
Thank you, Armando. It's nice to see you again. You did such a nice job when we got to visit your campus last meeting. So thanks for joining us again. Okay, the next individual that we have signed up at this time to speak to us in regards to tuition increase and parking fees is Hannah Johnson. Is Hannah on the line at this time?
I don't believe Hannah has joined the meeting.
Okay, thank you. We will move then to William Ingalls. William is a staff member with Washington State University, and he is wished to speak to us on the WSU divestment from fossil fuel companies. Welcome, William.
Thank you. Good morning. As a WSU staff member and an affiliate of the student group Environmental Sustainability Alliance, I would like to repeat my urgent request in commenting at this September Regents meeting to remove fossil fuel companies from the investment portfolio. Since my public comment, Regent Dickinson has written to me that the board shared my concerns with the WSU Foundation leadership and that the concerns would be passed along to the Foundation Investment Committee. Thank you, members of the board, for this follow-up action, but please continue the conversation with the Foundation on the subject of divestment and help ensure that the Investment Committee responds to these concerns. Also, please meet with the Environmental Sustainability Alliance Subcommittee on Divestment or help arrange a meeting with the Investment Committee. This student group would like to provide a more complete picture of the reasons for divestment and represent the students of WSU. Finally, in listening to one of the governance group's reports this morning, it's occurred to me to point out how the image of WSU as a fossil-free institution would be an excellent student recruitment tool. Today's youth are demanding action on climate change. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your comments. We now will move to Ryan Culp, who is a student, and Ryan is here to talk to us on WSU's divestment from fossil fuels. Welcome, Ryan. You have 2 minutes.
Thank you. And thank you for this opportunity to make public comment. I'm Ryan Culp, a second year student in computational neuroscience at WSU Pullman, and a member of the student group Environmental Sustainability Alliance. I'm with William Ingalls. I commented at your last meeting urging you to divest the university's endowment from fossil fuel companies as the impacts of climate change become more and more evident as we approach the 2030 deadline for limiting global warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius. The need for WSU to divest is greater than ever. My ESA subcommittee asked for full divestment from the so-called Carbon Underground 200, the 100 public coal and 100 oil and natural gas companies globally ranked by the size of their carbon reserves. Will you pledge to divest in the new year? We want our university included on the roster of institutions that take climate change seriously enough to make the switch to fossil fuel-free investments. In November, we hosted an online survey of WSU students. It was announced through the faculty and associated students of WSU and asked whether the university should remove stocks, bonds, and other assets that provide capital for companies engaged in fossil fuel extraction as a quote. Of the more than 1,000 students who responded, 70% said yes. Our group expect growing support for our divestment campaign as we continue reaching out to the student population in the new year. We would greatly appreciate the opportunity to meet with you and with members of the Foundation's Investment Committee to formally present the case for divestment. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you, Ryan. We appreciate you joining us and speaking today. Des, do we have anyone else signed up at this time for public comment?
At this time, we do not.
Okay, excellent. Well, it's 10:10, and I think we're going to give you guys a few minutes of time back. So again, a great one. Thank you to just can't say enough to thank you to Desiree Jacobson and to Kyle. This is not an easy coordination of Zoom breakouts and Zoom meetings and scripting everybody and trying to make sure we're all on track. So a big thank you for those, Des, Kyle, and others who set this meeting up on our behalf. We appreciate it. Appreciate all the speakers and our guests today and yesterday. We will be having an in-person meeting on March 10th and 11th on our Tri-Cities campus. And at this time, our Regent meeting is officially adjourned.